Welcome, Andy. It's a privilege, and thanks for granting us this interview.
Hey, no problem.
Maybe we should start about. I should start asking some questions about guitars.
Sure.
First of all, I know that you play Greenfield guitars, and they're made in Canada, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Montreal. Yeah,
Yes.
Michael Greenfield. He's got a little workshop there, and I think he probably builds about 15 guitars a year, something like that. Not too many. So it's just him and a couple of apprentices building those. So yeah.
What kind of guitars do you prefer? But you have a baritone and you have a harp guitar. And
Yeah.
Is it larger guitars mainly, or do you have a preference?
I usually go with sort of jumbo shaped guitars. Just kind of like that, the shape and then the volume and the tone that you get out of sort of a jumbo body. And I usually go with like the warmer tone woods too. I have a Macassar ebony on my guitars, so that's kind of the general guitar that I like. Is larger body and then warmer tone woods. But I do travel with 3 guitars when I hit the road, and so I have a standard guitar. And then a baritone, and then the harp guitar as well. And the baritone is a 4th interval lower than the standard guitar.
That's B from B.
That's right,
to B
yeah,
to
B to B, yeah, with the same sort of intervals. So you could still strum an E major chord, but it would be B major, so on. And then the harp guitar has 6 sub-bass strings, the kind that I play. And so, you incorporate that with the standard guitar neck, and you get some pretty good sounds. I was really introduced to the harp guitar through Michael Hedges, brilliant guitarist who was playing harp guitar like 30 years ago, and I was just blown away with the sound. So I was really excited to finally get one about 10 years ago now. So I've been playing harp guitar about 10 years.
Is it made of koa, or what's the back and sides on that guitar?
Yeah, on my Greenfield I have koa, my Greenfield harp guitar.
Yes.
But I'm actually on the road now with a new harp guitar from a company called Dyer Harp Guitars.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's their website's dyerharpguitars.com. What's really cool about this company and why I like working with them these days is they're trying to make the harp guitar an affordable instrument for people to check out. In the past, you've always would have to find just some crazy luthier would be like, yeah, I'll try building a harp guitar, So it was always kind of difficult and always pretty expensive, honestly, to get into harp guitar playing. But this company, Dyer Harp Guitars, they're making these affordable instruments that play and sound great. So. And they're easier for me to travel with. It's not quite as huge actually as my Michael Greenfield harp guitar. But anyway, it has I believe walnut back and sides on the Dyer harp guitar.
So you don't prefer any tone woods in particular, or is it just
yeah.
Is it a deliberate choice, or?
Yeah, it's. I usually do like the darker tone woods, but there's also times like I do have a baritone guitar that has maple back and sides. Sometimes just when you have a balance between having these thicker strings that are more sort of in the bass range, but then having the instrument made with a tone wood that sort of responds better to the higher frequencies, kind of gives it a nice balance.
Yes.
So
it's a bit clearer tone
Yeah.
than you get from Macassar ebony, or
exactly. Yeah. Like if you think of cellos and so on, those have maple, back and sides. So it kind of makes sense to get that balance in there too sometimes.
Yes. When did you realize that music was going to be a big part of your life?
I guess when I was about 14 years old, I'd already kind of figured that I wanted to do something with music. I started to play guitar when I was 13, really. And so just after about a year of getting into it, I just decided it had to be some, vital part of my life. And I didn't know how I was going to make a living necessarily, playing guitar or what, but I started to teach guitar lessons after a few years, and thought, okay, well, I can make sort of a little bit of money doing that, hopefully my wife will have a good job so we can buy a house or something. I eventually started to write my own music, being really inspired by players like Michael Hedges and Don Ross and Billy McLaughlin and some of these guys, and was encouraged to record an album and things like that from friends, and so I did. And I competed in some guitar competitions too, which helped get my name out at least a little bit. I never really won first place like in a lot of these things, but I made connections, and a lot of people kind of liked what I was doing, and so they would invite me, say, hey, you want to come to Taiwan and play for a week and a half? I thought, oh, yeah, all right. So that was exciting stuff, and then get to go to Japan and a few other places. But several years later, in 2006 now, I think? Yeah, it was 9 years ago, I put these videos on YouTube.
Yes.
And that was when suddenly people all over the planet were discovering what I was doing, and suddenly had opportunities. Hey, you want to come play in England, open for Tommy Emmanuel? And whoa, okay. So it's, ever since then, I've just been on the road for the most part. Go home and see my wife and kids, as much as I can. But it's been amazing, It's been sort of a dream come true to be able to play music and meet people all over the planet this way. It's great.
Does it give you something else? Do you get some sense of the mystical, or do you get that strange sensation of something maybe sacred in playing, or do you have that dimension?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. That's one that doesn't really come up much in these interviews. But yeah, I think that as a musician, our obligation is to go and try to enrich people's lives and bring them some happiness, for a couple of hours in the evening, and while we play our music, and hopefully it lifts people up and it carries them actually maybe through the rest of the week, or maybe even for the rest of the year. It can, music can really be a powerful force. Especially in my life, there's certain musicians that I still listen to every day, and I just feel good, whenever I put it on. So now that I'm sort of in that position for some people, when they hear me play, I take it very seriously and try to give my best every time I'm on stage, and make people feel good. That's what we do.
But it's very, very intentional that you have seen some things on YouTube where you mention Michael Hedges and Don Ross and do you see yourself or perceive yourself as some kind of educator, or?
Oh, sure. You mean as far as letting people know about those
guys?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. For sure, I do. And in fact, for about a year now, a little over a year, I've been playing a Michael Hedges tune at my shows, because I started to realize that there was maybe a whole generation of people that discovered me on YouTube, but maybe they had no idea about fingerstyle guitar even existing before they saw drifting on YouTube. So I felt very awkward about that, and so I thought I needed to make sure that at least the people that were coming to my shows, they need to know about some of these guys that came before that really inspired me, especially Michael Hedges. He was doing unbelievable things 35 years ago, and sadly he died. I think that's the big reason why a lot of people don't know about him. But in 1997 he died, so I really wanted to play one of his tunes and say, hey man, this guy is what changed everything 35 years ago, and I wouldn't be up here today if it weren't for him. He's the Jimi Hendrix of the acoustic guitar, in my opinion.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you tonight at the gig.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I love getting to play. Be back here in Copenhagen. I think the last time was 2011, so I know there's some folks excited for the show, and shoot, I'm excited for it too, let me tell you.
Sure.
It'll be great.
Yeah. When are you going back to the States? When are you finishing up the tour?
It's in about 2 weeks or so. I've got a couple here in Denmark, and maybe a couple in Sweden, and one in Finland, one in Norway, and a couple in Russia. And then I'll go back home for a few days, then go back out again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Andy.
Yeah. Thanks, man. It's my pleasure.